Okay, so we've reached a good stopping point for this illustration in adding the color to it. Some things to point out as I was working is I want the things that have the most important value, things like parts of her face, to have the smallest details. Everything else becomes very large or just very abstract. So as I'm on her face, I'm paying close attention to make sure that everything looks perfect and that the shape is right, so I'm really zoomed in on that. However, once I started working on things like the dress or her hair, I was a little bit more free about making the shapes. This way it draws interest to the facial area and makes everything else look a little bit more painterly. Here's the second step that we're going to do. Let's start changing the color modes, the blending modes for all of these objects. Now in my layers, another thing to point out was I actually added a fourth layer underneath everything. This way I could quickly fill in some larger areas behind the smaller ones. If you need to add more layers to your illustration, totally fine. Feel free to do that. However, I'm going to unlock both layers 3 and 4, and I'm going to select them all. So just click and drag over, or you can hit Command A, and that'll get everything that's on both layers. Now, since they're both selected, I'm going to hide my selection. Command H is what I need. Hide edges, still selected. And let's open up our transparency dialog box. In the transparency, I can change my blending mode. Since they're overlapping, if I was to change my blending mode from normal to something like screen or multiply, this will bring out that overlap and actually add some little dynamic lines, little things that are unexpected. That's with multiply. Let's do screen. Screen will lighten up the image. And this is pretty cool. Another thing to notice is that it's picking up some of the other colors that I may have put behind certain ones. So for instance, I've got some blue down here in her dress and a little bit of blue up here in her hair. This is totally unexpected, and it's actually altering the way my final illustration looks. That's key to what we're looking for. I want it to look illustrative. I want to have a certain element of surprise to my illustration. If I wanted, I can keep going back and adding more details, either lightening up certain areas or making them darker. But for now, this is the type of technique that I'm looking for. I'm looking for something a little bit spontaneous, and I'm getting that by changing up my transparency mode. And I'm also looking for something a little bit more abstract and illustrative. I'm getting that by making the different shapes out of her entire illustration. Now once you're finished, you do want to erase away layer 1. That image that we've saved to is a little bit big. So I'm going to get rid of it by just dragging away layer 1, and this is what I'm left with. The final thing you can do is you can flatten or merge all of your layers together by going up to the top right-hand side of the Layers palette and then choose Flatten Artwork. Now I've got it all on just one solid layer. You'll turn in the Illustrator file for this particular project.